What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the ASTROLABE. It is Tuesday evening, April 8th, and we are rocking and rolling here. Now, it's funny. Yesterday, for those of you who tuned in for yesterday's Labe, you know that it was the longest one ever. We went for 4.5 hours. Jason Miranchuk joined me, and we went for 4.5 hours. Then we proceeded to get off the phone and or get off the stream and hop on the phone and talk to each other on the phone for another 2 hours. We're making plans. We're scheming, developing our master plan. Tonight it is not going to be 4.5 hours. We did the longest Labe yesterday. Tonight is probably going to be the shortest Labe. I have a hard out here in about an hour. So we are going to be jamming our way through this one and give you guys a little bit of whiplash from a 4.5 hour stream to probably a 1 hour stream. Damn it, Jeremy says the last episode was incredible. Thank you. I'm glad. That was a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed doing that. And give you guys a little sneak preview. That is going to become a weekly occurrence. Jason and I are going to meet up weekly to cross streams, as it were. So Thursday nights is when that's going to happen. We'll have more details on exactly how all of that is going to work and everything coming soon. Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at RoKingPilled. And the best way to stay in the loop on everything is to go to join the King Pilled Discord, kingpilled.com. Go sign up, join us over there, and those are the people who will get the first look at new things that are coming and get to have some feedback on them potentially. We have different ways that we want to get you guys involved, particularly regarding EWBSX, the Eternal White Boy Summer radio station app that we launched last week. Spyman740 in the chat says loving the EWBSX app. Good. I'm glad. It's good to get all the feedback from you guys. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. We got a what they say in the industry, they say an MVP, your minimum viable product. We got an MVP out, and we're going to be building upon it. So stay tuned for that. The apps are now live in both app stores, Google Play. So if you're an Android bro, you can go download the Android app, and then for all of my iPhone brethren, the iOS app is now live as well. And I was just looking at the numbers. We have now just set a new record. We've been out for a week, and we just set a new record, all-time high of listeners on a given day. And this was at, what time is it right now? 7. So this is about 2 hours ago, about 5 p.m. We hit it at 5 p.m. Central Time. Our new all-time record. So it's good to see you guys tuning in and listening. Thank you to everyone who's been sharing it with other people and encouraging them. We're building something here, folks. We're putting our money where our mouth is, and there's not very much money behind it right now, but there's definitely a lot of time. You got to sometimes, if you have the money, you can save the time. But if you don't have the money, then you got to pay for it in time. So we've been paying for it in time, time and sweat and lots of cuss words. But it is turning out better than we could have hoped. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Let's see. Any other housekeeping? Reminder, Substack. Go to the King Pilled Substack and sign up there. That's where I post the links to all the stories that I'll cover on the show here today. Just sign up there so you can subscribe. It's free. There is a paid option if you'd like to send some shekels over and support the operation. That is you can do that there. Otherwise, it is free to just access everything that I post. I used to do a tweet thread with everything, and it took a tremendous amount of time. It was like it would take me, I don't know, like 45 minutes to copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste and copy and paste. And then it would just bury my timeline in just other tweets and links and such. So I decided to move it over to Substack, and that seems to work really well because it also allows me to just automatically push out the audio to all the podcatchers. So this is available as a podcast as well. I originally conceived of it as a more visually oriented show because I'm making use of the screen share here, but people wanted the podcast. So it is available as a podcast. You can find it. The podcast is King Pilled. Just look for King Pilled, and you can subscribe there. And if you are one of our beloved podcast listeners, the podcast makes up a fairly sizable chunk of the total viewership. So if you are a podcast listener, then do me a favor, make sure you're subscribed and leave us a 5-star review and let everybody know how great it is. All right, let's get started. So, boys, they're catching on. They're figuring it out. You know, we men, Extremely complicated. And the foids are starting to figure out our tricks.
Reason 7 why I love men is because the way to their heart is banana bread. Anytime you make them a banana bread, it's like they love you more. They were like unsure about you. Maybe not. Make them a banana bread. They're gonna be sure now. They're gonna know it's you.
We got to come up with something different. They figured us out. They got us. Banana bread. You make me a banana bread, and I will love you for the rest of my life. Nice homemade fresh banana bread, especially if you put like some chocolate chips in it, and nice and hot. Butter it up. Oh man, nothing better than that. Ian Carroll says, "Lock her up." Yeah, her and her French accent. Okay, so then speaking of the boys, I've got two here. I've got two, really three, but the next two here are this is part of our celebration of White Boy Summer. Every once in a while, we gotta, even in the late winter, early spring, we still gotta celebrate White Boy Summer. So I've got a couple of those. Here's the first one. Wait for it. See how long it takes you guys to figure out what's coming. Killed it! Absolutely killed it. And then this one. This guy came across the coolest custom-built motorcycle. This dude is the dude that owns this motorcycle is sitting atop the pile of Chads. He is the king at the top of the Chad pile. Look at this absolute majestic beast that he's riding around on.
Is that a V8?
Yeah.
That sounds like a Chevy V8 to me. What size is it? 350 crate? 427. 427 LS7? Oh my god. Twin turboed? No, these are Pro Chargers. Yeah. What? Dude, this thing's supercharged. Twin superchargers. How much power does it make? 1,200. It makes more horsepower than my Corvette did. How fast have you got it up to?
Got about 150, but I'm still in first gear.
What? No, you're no way.
Two-speed power glide.
Two-speed power glide, so first gear's 150?
Turn at 4,000 RPM. Red line's at 7.
Red line's at 7,000 RPM. That's huge.
Well, 100 mile an hour, I can still spin the tire.
Can you give me a rev?
It's been raining.
Just like one rev, it's all I need to live.
Watch this. Watch
The
how
torque jerked it.
look at this guy.
He has to brace himself. You have an amazing ride, sir.
Oh man, now look at the difference here. That face compared to, where was it? Back here. This face. When he first walked up to him, old man here was very skeptical. But the dude's enthusiasm just completely wore off on him. And by the end of it, he's where was it? Right there. Look at that face. That's a happy man. Someone just appreciated his love. Nothing could make him happier than that. He just about broke himself in half with just a little. He just gave it a little bitty rev too. He wasn't howling it. He just a little boop, and he just about launched him off of it. Holy crap! What this thing's gotta guzzle gas. I mean, he keeps this in his garage and he drives it to the gas station. Then he drives it to like the beach or something, and then he drives it back to the gas station, and he drives it back to the house. Oh man, this is, yeah. We talk about the boomers who who have their retirement and they blow all their money on their things. Let's keep these guys. Let's keep these guys around. This is an amazing thing to stumble across. Shout out to this old boomer. Ian Carroll says, dude could plow a field with that fucking bike. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, Duffhead. That bike was well worth not sending his deadbeat son to college. $22 just to drive down the block. But it goes 100 miles an hour in first gear. Or 150. He goes 150 in first gear. He can pop the tires at 100 miles an hour. All the torque in the world. Okay, and then one more. Now this one I'm kind of curious. Part of the reason I want to play this clip is because I want to see what happens to the stream, or to this episode. See if it gets pulled down, because Metallica is notoriously copyright aggressive. But this is a video of Metallica performing Enter Sandman in Moscow in 1991. Imagine that. Metallica going to Moscow and performing, drawing an estimated 1.6 million attendees. This is a bygone era. This is a thing that would not happen again. Would not happen now, at least. Considered one of the best performances of all time. So let's just jam out. Oh, man. You guys are cracking me up. Fenris Unbound. Hey, you guys just got out of the gulag. Well, anyway, here's Metallica. And Ian Carroll says, who knew unfettered aura of American rock was the cure for the commies? Oh, man. Just think about the setup that would go into being able to perform that, and to an audience of 1.6 million people. The sheer work it would be to prepare the whole venue and everything. Oh. Isaac says, this had to feel so cool to be an American at the time. Just defeated the USSR, and now their people are flocking to your band's concerts. Who knows? Such a thing may happen again in our lifetime. Lowe's. According to the post-millennial here, Lowe's is to close all stores for Easter Sunday. A vibe shift indeed. Oh, is the page not going to open? Oh, there we go. Home improvement store chain Lowe's will be closing all of its stores across the nation for Easter Sunday later in April. This marks the 5th year that Lowe's has joined other major chains in closing for the holiday. This year, Easter will take place on April 20. According to Fox 5, the store said that the closure is an effort to show appreciation for the company's workers and their continued dedication to serving customers. Marvin Ellison, Lowe's chairman and CEO, said in a statement, I'm extremely proud of the commitment of our 300,000 associates who support our communities while providing excellent customer service not only in spring, but all year round. In recognition of our team's continued hard work, we are pleased to provide a well-deserved day off so they can spend Easter with their loved ones. All of the chains, over 1,700 locations, as well as their call centers, will be closed. Yeah, Jeets, you gotta take Easter off. Other stores that will be closed on Easter Sunday are Target, Costco, Aldi, Best Buy, and Sam's Club. Stores remaining open for the holiday include Walmart, Dollar General, Home Depot, Trader Joe's, CVS, and more. So we have our list right here. We have the list of companies that need to be bludgeoned into submission. Everyone will recognize the celebration of the resurrection of our Lord. Quick update on the Signalgate story. Disappeared so quickly. Remember, it was such a big deal. Everyone was like, oh, is this going to be the thing? Is this going to be the thing that takes him down? What a scandal. This is the end of it all. Now nobody cares. But here's an interesting little, we got a little bit of resolution on it. Goldberg's email was forwarded to then Trump spokesperson Brian Hughes, who then copied and pasted the content of the email, including the signature block with Goldberg's phone number, into a text message that he sent to Waltz so he could be briefed on the forthcoming story. Waltz did not ultimately call Goldberg, the people said, but in an extraordinary twist, inadvertently ended up saving Goldberg's number in his iPhone under the contact card for Hughes, now the spokesperson for the National Security Council. So remember, I said that there was that there would be nothing particularly strange or concerning about a congressman and the national security advisor and a Fox News opinion commentator. It would be nothing. It wouldn't be strange for him to have the phone number of the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. He could have wound up with it for any number of reasons. You know, it could have been that he knew there was some story coming out and he asked someone to get Goldberg's number because he wanted to go get ahead of a story or something. There's all kinds of different reasons he could have wound up with his number. And it turns out it was exactly that. Something very, very mundane. He just accidentally ended up, and I could definitely see someone doing this. I could see myself doing something like this accidentally, given the retarded way that the pop-ups and the messages and everything work with when you're dealing with your address book and all that. It'd be really easy to just accidentally save that, especially since our cell phones are constantly wanting us to connect, to like add or give our address book to these people, connect with this person, add this person as a contact. Here's a new person. Do you want to update their contact profile? So all it would take is just being like, it's like, hey, do you want to add this number to the contact? And he's like, oh yeah, that seems right. Okay. And he just inadvertently adds Jeffrey Goldberg's number to the contact card for Brian Hughes, the spokesperson for the National Security Council. So then if you go and you use his Signal profile to put together this group chat that they're all going to talk in, and you add Brian Hughes, if Jeffrey Goldberg's number is saved under Brian Hughes' contact card, it's going to add Jeffrey Goldberg as well. And that's exactly what happened. According to the White House, the number was erroneously saved during a contact suggestion update by Waltz's iPhone, which one person described as the function where an iPhone algorithm adds a previously unknown number to an existing contact that it detects may be related. The mistake went unnoticed until last month when Waltz sought to add Hughes to the Signal group chat, but ended up adding Goldberg's number to the 13 March message chain named Houthi PC small group, where several top U.S. officials discussed plans for strikes against the Houthis. So just a complete empty nothing burger of a story. So there's a good lesson to be learned here in the way people reacted to the story, tried to turn it into a story. And this goes in multiple different directions because there was a big swath of the internet that decided, okay, this is our angle for taking out Mike Waltz. Why is Mike Waltz talking to Jeffrey Goldberg? Why does he have his number? Did he let him in there on purpose? Mike Waltz has got to go. And it says that this proves that the administration took the exact right approach to it. Yeah, something happened here that wasn't supposed to happen. We definitely were not planning on adding the hoaxer-in-chief, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic to a group chat conversation. And fuck off, we're going to use these group chats because the government technology for this sucks. And we couldn't all go into a skiff because this is a thing that was happening urgently and we're all spread out across the country. So yeah, we're going to use this. We're going to use the group chat. Fuck off. Like, there's nothing better to be used from that. And the whole thing about Hegseth, like, oh, Hegseth shared classified information. Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense. He has declassification authority. Him sharing something could be seen as de facto declassification. The fact that he shares it implies he is declassifying it to be shared with these people he thinks need this information. And it implicates national security, and we're going to be killing people and all of this. So Yeah, I'm just going to de facto declassify it. And yeah, maybe it's not perfectly secure, but the risk is extremely low, the reward is extremely high, and we ball. And the administration played it absolutely perfectly. They were like, "Fuck you. This is dumb. This isn't a story. Why was that dude just hanging out there? You know, this is a mistake. What sort of patriot is this guy? Does he really care about the country?" You'd think that he would have an obligation to not share that sort of thing. So flip it back around on the guy. And ultimately, it's just a non-story. It would have been a massive mistake to fire anyone over it. Even if what they did could have been a per se fireable offense, it would have been better to not fire them. Precisely because of the momentum shift that it would have created. Right now, the administration needs to maintain a solid, perfectly coherent front. They're all in lockstep with one another. Because they're trying to project confidence. They're projecting the confidence and the stability that ultimately undermines the dollar, as we talked about yesterday. Not undermines, that undergirds the dollar. So yeah, it was perfectly handled. A total nothing burger of a story, but you see, we got an interesting look at how the sausage gets made. Let me catch up on a couple of these super chats here. Got 10 leaf bucks from Slosher. He says there was a great documentary called Chuck Norris versus Communism about how American culture got into communist countries via VHS. A VCR and TV cost as much as a car, but people still wanted to see it. I know that I used to listen to Thaddeus Russell. Met him, nice enough fellow. Don't listen to him anymore. But this is something that he was on about. In retrospect, he was on it was a very lefty subversion instinct, but he's elaborated at length about how culture, how culture forms and develops, and the way the cast-offs, the people on the fringes are the ones who really innovate with culture, and it ultimately gets absorbed by the middle, and that this is how you undermine a country. Now, he said this is how you undermine a country, and it's a good thing to do it. I would say this is how you undermine a country, and it's a bad thing to do it. But insinuating these little cultural things into a country subversively like that is a very good way to undermine the domineering perspective. And so whether you see that as a good thing or a bad thing is probably one of the best ways you could ascertain whether someone is fundamentally left wing or right wing, to whatever extent those terms are useful. Because if you think if you are a hierarchy respecter, then you're like, yeah, doing like subversive cultural undermining stuff through black market back channels to undermine another nation's sovereignty is probably not moral. If you're not a hierarchy respecter, then you think that it is not only moral, but a moral imperative. $10 super chat from Rethuglican. He says we got competing $10 super chats here. One of them's Leaf Bucks and one of them's Eagle Bucks. He says, have to uninstall X for a bit because it's starting to enrage me with people like Black Horse claiming to know better than Trump or Bessent regarding tariff utilization. Apologies if I miss live streams. I fully understand. There is a great culling that is happening. It's going to be roughly down the lines of the European right-wingers and Canadian right-wingers being kind of carved off from the American right-wingers. And I don't think this is a bad thing. I think it mirrors what's happening in the rest of the world. Like, we're moving into a multipolar world. It across multiple different domains. And narrative-wise, culturally, that it's going to track the same way. So Americans are going to spend more time talking to Americans and less time talking to non-Americans. And non-Americans are going to spend more time talking to each other than Americans. But the thing is, this is a perfect illustration. What those non-Americans are going to spend all of their time doing is talking about America. They have to. They can't not. Because America is a more important country than any of their countries. That's not to say it's better or more valuable or morally superior. It just is simply true. If you can't acknowledge that fact, then it shows that you're operating from a perspective where you just have an axe to grind and you're emoting. So I don't think this is necessarily unhealthy. In fact, it kind of honestly is healthy. But the I think it's going to continue. I think it's going to become less common for right wingers to be like talking and coordinating across borders, because it's like, well, you have your country that you need to be concerned with. I've got mine that I need to be concerned with, and I'm going to stay focused on mine. And here's where when I had that tweet last week where I said that it's come to my attention that there are a bunch of so-called right wingers on here who start chanting shitlib incantations as soon as Trump tells them he doesn't owe them anything. And that's where the European, when I say European, I mean Canadian kind of, and just lumping these all together, because the Canadians are choosing to put themselves on the European side for the time being. They are still latently operating from this lib perspective, the globalist perspective. They're like, no, American right wingers have a responsibility to coordinate with non-American right wingers and to do what's best for the global right wing community. No, we don't. But what America did, I don't care what America did in the past. I care about what America's doing now and what America's going to do in the future. And America's responsibility is not to tend to the global community, whether that's the global shitlib community or the global right-winger community. People who claimed American citizenship in times past have done lots of things to develop this whole system that we talked about for 4.5 hours last night. Go back and listen to that if you haven't yet. Those people, yeah, they had American passports. They called themselves Americans, may even have been born in America. But they were performatively treasonous to America. They sold out America's future, engaged us in this poison pill suicide pact with the rest of the world. So the answer to that is not, okay, well, now America still needs to be responsible for the rest of the world, but it needs to be responsible for the rest of the world and do good stuff. This is just globalism of another shade. No, America's responsibility now is to America. And the nature of how everything has been constructed is that when America does what is good for America, it will be good for everyone else. As America grows wealthier and more powerful and more prosperous and more innovative, the downstream effects it'll be the rising tide that lifts the rest of the boats. But our obligation is not to the global right-wing community. You guys sound like shit libs. Trump does not need to be factoring in, well, if I do this, then this right-wing movement in this other country is going to be potentially negatively harmed. And so I guess I actually need to be constrained by concern for their... No. He's got to do what's best for America. Maybe once we get our shit together, perhaps then we could talk about trying to help everyone else get their shit together. But given the nature of the construct of the global system, America getting its shit together gets everybody else's shit together by default, or at least it provides the pretext for them to do so if they want to. This whole notion that Trump should have been like deferential and grandfatherly and polite with the leaders of these foreign countries who've tried to kill him and have dedicated their every waking hour of every day trying to undermine and corrupt and back channel every single thing he's trying to do. It seems completely absurd on its face, and it is completely absurd, but that's not what he was elected for. And the idea that the way that you are going to, even if I take it from the non-American perspective, if the idea is we want to undermine the power of the existing European leadership so they can be ousted and replaced with better leadership, then Trump playing hardball with them, while it may seem like it's a shot in the arm in the short run, it's not going to be in the long run. Because they will not win against Trump. They have spent a decade now racking up L's in every single battle they've engaged in with Trump. They literally shot him. And he got up off the ground with blood streaming down his face and fist pumped in their faces. So the more that they position themselves as directly oppositional to him, the shorter their political lifespan becomes. Because in a zero-sum game between them and Trump will win. And if you're gonna Reddit post midwit tier, oh, but maybe it changes. This is where the autism has gone too far. Like, you've lost the social sense. You can't smell it in the wind. It's very obvious that it's not going to be like, oh, after all of this, now all of a sudden Trump just took this massive L. He very obviously has, past generations would have said something like he has the blessing of the gods. Fate turns at his will. And the more that this is true, the more this becomes true. That flywheel effect is developing here. So and I'm not saying this because I want it to be true. I'm simply observing it. I also want it to be true, but I am just plainly observing it. So if you sincerely want Trump to be a tool for softening the grip of the European leadership on power, the best way he can do that is by cock-slapping them. It reveals them to be impotent and weak and soft. And people crave strength. People want to follow strength. They will delude themselves into thinking they don't, and then performatively do it. Every single whiny, middle-aged, whine ant shitlib crying about how Trump is being mean to all the Browns naturally just follows what she thinks is powerful. So when Trump projects power and dicks them down politically, it makes him more appealing and makes them less appealing. They get loser ant smell on them. Shout out Jason Miranchuk. So Trump being a bull in the china shop, pardon the pun, pun fully intended actually. Trump being a bull in the china shop with the European leadership is counterintuitively the best thing possible for the right-wing movements in those countries. They just need to sack up and stop thinking that we're just going to get, like, for a long time it's been America interferes in our stuff. America interferes in our stuff in a bad way, and someday America is going to interfere in our stuff in a good way. And then Trump's like, nope. And they're like, ah! No, you guys got to sack up and you got to get your shit together. And you can't do that by spending all of your time yelling about the things that you think are wrong with Trump. Counter-signaling Trump or trying to light a fire under narratives that undermine him, that doesn't help the global right-wing cause. Which makes me think all of these people who are talking this way, there's only two possibilities. They're not as smart as they think they are, or they're not as honest as they present themselves as. I think those are the only two options. And I'm open to having my mind changed on this, but that's all I can get out of this. All right, I got to keep this going because I've got a lot to get through. It's amazing how quickly time passes. And the super chats are flying in here. Now we got some Aussie bucks. We got the Roo bucks from Tom Rickson. He says, here's $10 dues. And Michael Manor, getting some more cold hard American cash here. 10 more bucks. He says, Black Horse is averaging 30 plus tweets per day, all counter signaling Trump. Euros are doing the same. It means we're over the target and they have no real answer. Yeah, see, I've fallen out of that whole circle, so I haven't even seen any of this. So everything that I was just saying is not, it sounds like I may even be underestimating how egregious things have gotten. Thank you for the super chat. Jonathan Hemingway, $10. There's just a flood of $10 super chats. Thank you, guys. He says, I heard Malcolm Gladwell give a talk recently. When he spoke about the War of 1812, he said, we burned down your White House. He spoke from a Canadian perspective. Well, of course he did. Of course he did. I remember thinking that Malcolm Gladwell was a really interesting person, like, I don't know, 25 years ago. JG says, seems like every argument against tariffs is that it's just completely impossible for the U.S. to fix itself, and it has to be a piggy bank for the world for all of eternity. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Every single argument seems to reduce down, even from the ostensibly right-wing folks. It seems to reduce to nope, America just has to stay being this way. We have a right to get all those American dollars whenever we want them, in whatever fashion we've established ourselves as getting them. You know, we can't change anything. We can't change the status quo. No. America, if you take control of your own sovereignty, that's bad for the rest of us. This is just like bog standard Davos schlock. You're just parroting the exact same message now, but you're doing it from you're saying, oh, well, it's because he's not serving the global right-wing community or whatever. you just sound like Davos shills. 10 more Rubucks from Tom Rickson. I'm just going to spend the whole time reading super chats. Says, when you Yanks provide the successful model, us cunts can utilize your successful model as an example to obliterate the queefs. I love this guy. We have a senator named Gerard Rennick coming through already. Oh, very interesting. Gerard Rennick. Anybody who wants to tell me more about Gerard Rennick, I'd be interested in hearing it. I won't remember it if I just do it, but if you DM me some stuff, and then I will definitely read about it. I think he's exactly right. This is the model here. This, to whatever extent America as a nation has a responsibility for remediating the wrongs that were done to the rest of the world in the name of America. It wasn't America that was doing it. It was non-American entities wearing America like a skin suit and doing things to the rest of the world. And the things they were doing to the rest of the world, they were doing to America as well. But to whatever extent that America does have some sort of obligation to save the world, to whatever extent America has some obligation to save the world, the way that it's going to be done is like this: by America saving itself and establishing the mimetic model for other people to mimic. I just can't get over the sheer absurdity of making a career out of talking about all of the evils of globalism or managerialism or communism or international banking cartels or whatever particular flavor of it that you put on it. And then turning around and saying, no, America has a responsibility to be like the established entity that governs the rest of the world. Every single thing America does, they have to take into consideration how it's going to affect the rest of the world. And if it's going to hurt some people, then they can't do it. If it's in their own interest, but it's gonna negatively impact some other people who have been bought into the system as it is, well, they're prevented from doing that. So do you want America to be your imperial power, or do you not? Because America's like, we're going to stop acting like an imperial power. And you're like, no. You have to give us the imperial power stuff we want, but just don't give us the imperial power stuff we don't want. Either the American president is responsible for leading your entire leadership and trying to like mold and craft himself onto them to continue ceding bits of American sovereignty to ensure that all the Europeans are taken care of just right. Either you get that, or you don't get America as an imperial power. But you want both. You want to have the Trump cushioning himself up to all the European leadership, but you also want America to stop being the global empire that's imposing itself on everyone. This is inane. If Trump's decision tree is going to have to include things like make sure that this doesn't do a meanie to the Euro bros, and then like, here's all the points where the interests of Americans and the interests of the Euro bros come into tension, and my responsibility is to look out for the Euro bros. If that's what you want, then you're going to get America the imperial power, and you're going to be an outpost. That's the trade-off. This shouldn't be difficult to understand if you're a studier of elite theory and an understander of power politics. This wasn't a planned rant. I just, I guess it was waiting around in there somewhere. Colin Rosh with $5 says it's because they're not against globalists. They're against not being in charge of globalization. Bingo. Ding, ding, ding. Ding, ding, ding. Right there. You see the game in this specific instance when the Euro bros are mad that Trump, the American president, is not massaging his message around the feelings of European interests. Everything is laid bare immediately. That Europeans see America as being responsible for governing the world in Europe's mind, or toward Europe's interests. That is the regime. That is the globalists. Davos, whatever, the communists, the Jews, whatever, City of London, all of the, whatever angle you take on it, that's the fundamental construct of it. The American president is responsible for managing a global empire bent toward the interests of Europe. So all the Euro bros and the Canada bros and stuff who are big mad about Trump, oh, he's completely discrediting himself. Oh, he's just a pawn for the globalists. They are literally parroting the exact defining ethos of the globalists that Trump has risen up against. It's so he's such a generationally fascinating figure. The way he is a truly apocalyptic figure. He forces people to reveal themselves, to reveal their latent prejudices. He shows up on the scene and you just can't help it. You just naturally reveal who you are. He's got this preternatural gift. He's genuinely the type of figure that people write legends about and retain their myths for generations. That is who he's going to be, for better or for worse. That's who he is going to be for America's future. He is going to be a mythic figure, a George Washington-esque sort of figure. We are going to look back at this era in time as something like the new American Revolution. Now, I'm not speaking revolution in like the political revolutionary sense. I'm saying like there was the first chapter of American history, and now we're beginning the second chapter. I guess you could break those down into more chapters, but you know what I mean? We're closing out a chapter and we're beginning a new one, and he is the defining figure. Yeah, Hermetic Hegemony. This is a shout out to a super chat from last night's stream. He says the bartender planned to roofie you and take the house. Right? Yeah. Thank you for all the super chats, guys. All right, let's keep this going because I'm definitely not going to finish in time at this rate. I may be too late already. So this is one of the most important executive orders that it seems that a lot of people missed this one. And it was quick. It passed real quick just a couple of days ago. But it's one of the most important, and it has since very prescient order because it is now defined the last couple of days.
This executive order is for allowing people who are complaining about your tariffs to be permanently labeled as whiny, retarded, sad little bitches.
Hold it. This is a good one. Is everybody listening?
You guys heard it here. Our president, Mr. 47 himself, he signed the executive order. The Article 2 executive, unitary executive power. He is declared. They're a bunch of whiny, pathetic bitches. Because in spite of all of this, everything's on fire. Everyone's howling and yelling. Ah! And here we've got Harry Enton, our boy, maybe we call him he's not a Giga Jew. You could call him like I wouldn't even call him a mega Jew. Maybe a micro Jew. He's our micro Jew.
I think there was this concern among some folks that Donald Trump would come in for a second term and kind of be a lame duck. He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle. What am I talking about here? Let's talk about Trump executive orders in 2025. He's already signed 111 so far. That is the most at this point in a presidency in at least 100 years. In fact, it's the most in any single year, and we're only in April, since Harry S. Truman in the early 1950s. The bottom line is whether you like Trump or you don't like him, you can't say that he's come in and not try to deliver on what he at least believes was his promises on the campaign trail, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
How are people reacting to and feel about Trump's approach?
Yeah, okay, so Trump's approach here, what are we talking about? Trump's approach to presidential power. I think the American people recognize what he's doing here is completely different. We're talking, get this, 86% of the American public believes that Trump's approach to presidential power is completely different from past presidents, compared to only 14% who believe it is in line with precedent. And we're talking about at least 79% of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. So again, you can agree or you can disagree with Donald Trump, but what you can't disagree with is that he's doing things very differently. I have used the Frank Sinatra quote before.
We're going to do things that have never been done before.
He is doing it, quote unquote, my way, and that is what Donald Trump has done throughout both of his presidential terms, and he's certainly doing that, Kate Baldwin, in term number 2.
So, completely differently, clearly they agree, but is it, take it a step further, do the people think he has too much, he's taken too much power?
Yeah, this I think is the real question, right? You can believe that he's doing stuff completely differently, but do you think that he has a little too much power or not? And this is interesting. So Trump's presidential power is too much, the right amount, too little. Well, 47% say too much, but then you get 36% who say the right amount. Then you get 17% who say too little. So you're
17% of Americans say that Trump has too little power. Almost 1 in 5 say. So you have this 86% of people say that he's doing it completely different, and then almost 1 in 5 people say he doesn't have enough power. And then 36% say, yeah, yep, that's good. Right, that's the right amount of power. And then you got 47% of people. This is all the boomers, all the shit libs, all the why-nots. They're all like, oh, too much, too much. You might look at this and say, well, 53-47, that's kind of close. This is not close. Because this 17%, that's 1 in 5 people. If you are like the president, not only the president, but Donald Trump does not have enough power yet. That is a radical political position with respect to the mainstream. That's a highly activated subset. And then you've still got 36% of people who are like, yeah, it's about right. It's about right, just like it is right now. This is great. So yeah, you've got this 47%, but this is the default position. This is the factory settings. Oh no, too much power, too much power. We've spent a decade being bludgeoned with too much power, 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 too much power. So yeah, of course, 47% of people just have those default factory settings, but a large portion of those people are not activated. There's like, oh yeah, and then they start thinking about their new recipe they're going to make or something. 17% of Americans polled said Trump has too little power.
Essentially dealing with a majority of the American public, 53%, who do not say that Trump has too much power. They either says he has too little power or the right amount of power. So the idea, that argument that Donald Trump is, quote unquote, a king, that I don't think holds with the American people. It does hold maybe with 47%, but with the majority of folks, they believe Donald Trump's doing something completely differently, and they don't believe he has too much power, and the executive orders he signed certainly suggest he's no lame duck. He is, as I said at the beginning, a soaring eagle.
I love our little micro Jew. Okay, we got a funny clip here. I got to keep this moving. Funny clip here from Scott Jennings. We haven't played a Scott Jennings one in a while, and this one is this is an excellent one. His shit-eating grin just kills me. Look at the chyron down here. Trump hits golf course as markets tank. Anxiety deepens. Oh, well, if Trump's at the golf course, that means he's doing business.
I do find it interesting in this conversation, though, about Democrats finding their, free market bona fides all of a sudden. I mean, these are the same party that's been arguing that corporations need to pay higher taxes. I mean, effectively, a tariff is just a tax on corporate activity. That's what it is. And Democrats for years have argued for higher corporate tax rates, and now they're arguing against effectively a tax on corporate activity. I think if I were Donald Trump, I might next week say, you know what? I'll meet you on this. Let's slash the corporate tax rate in half, and it'll mitigate your concerns about the tariffs. I bet you wouldn't find one Democrat who would agree to it, even though it would be an amazing idea.
I think it's brilliant. Yes, please use precisely this messaging. Scott Jennings is a useful character, man. He is very good. He's very good. This would be phenomenal. They're like, you're making things more expensive. Oh yeah, that's true. Well, we need these tariffs, but we definitely don't want to make things more expensive. Tell you what what we're going to do is we're going to offset those tariffs with a reduction in the corporate tax. So that means that's going to free things up and they can keep prices lower. And then we just keep all that money here in the country. Boom. He gets it. Scott Jennings knows exactly what's happening. He gets it. And this would be some glorious political judo. Got to get a Gigajou clip in here.
The original sin of how the modern economy in America is structured, the president talks about more than anything else. And it gets to Caroline's point about the overall economic vision. The original sin was that we created a tax system that punished you for making something in America and rewarded you for making something in China or a foreign country. So in other words, if you had your factory in America, you paid a sky-high corporate tax rate, you were beaten to death with regulation, you had radically unaffordable energy prices, and Washington just in every way made your life miserable.
And the political class didn't do anything about it. They allowed it to happen.
Correct.
Well,
they sat by and watched it happen for decades.
They actually wanted the opposite to happen, especially.
This is Jameson Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative, a disciple of Robert Lighthizer.
If you look at the 90s when we had NAFTA, we had the WTO, we had the entry of China into the WTO, the goal very clearly was to remove U.S. tariff and trade barriers to make it easier for people to outsource to China. Because once we gave China what we call permanent normal trade relations, all of your manufacturers in the United States who are thinking in short terms, in terms of quarterly earnings and that kind of thing, they said, listen, now I can go move my factory from Indiana or wherever, I can put it in China, I can put it in Mexico, and I know I will have sure access to the U.S. market. Today, President Trump is saying the best place to make American products and sell American products is here in America.
Okay. The Bessent short. This is a phrase to remember. I read you a couple threads on the show yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It was the day before. Of the guy, and now his handle is escaping me. But he was describing what Bessent's job is essentially, and he's been he and this guy Seth. Let me see if I can find that other guy's account here real quick, because they are chattering back and forth with each other quite a bit. This guy here, Derek, suitable politic. Oh, there's more stuff that's dropping. Okay, hold on. We're gonna come back to this here as soon as I finish reading about the Bessent short, because I want to see what they're saying. So Seth J. Levy says the Bessent short has gained popularity as the U.S. and China descend into a trade war. It's grounded in the famous Soros fund management short of the British pound. But are there signs that this could be happening to the yuan? Let's explore the Bessent short. Maybe Bessent, is he our Giga Gay? Is that what we call him? Giga Gay? Giga Homo? Giga Gay? Giga Fag? Giga Gay? Giga Gay kind of works. First, let's explore the dynamics that Bessent exploited shorting the pound. The UK joined ERM, a system designed to stabilize the European currency. Britain was in a recession. This conflicted with the principle of currency stabilization. But how was Bessent key to the scheme? Bessent joined Soros Fund Management in 1991, quickly rose to the head of the London office and part of Soros's inner circle by 1992. Scott was an expert in the UK's weaknesses. He provided the research and analysis that Soros and Stanley Druckenmiller used to execute the short. What was in the research brief? 90% of UK mortgages were tied to the overnight interest rate. With the UK in recession, the Bank of England was forced to maintain high rates to defend the ERM peg. Rising rates to support the pound would crush homeowners and the broader economy. This macro-level research complemented the broader macroeconomic thesis that Soros and Druckenmiller were developing. Bessent acted as the eyes and ears for Soros's operation in Europe. His proximity to the UK market allowed him to gather real-time insights. How was the trade executed? Soros built a massive short position, starting with $1.5 billion and scaling to $10 billion. A trigger came when Bundesbank why is this word so hard to say? Schlesinger implied no German support for the pound. Soros then dramatically increased his short position overnight. The Bank of England attempted to prop up the pound via foreign reserves, 3.3 billion pounds in losses, and raising interest rates twice. These measures failed as speculators led by Soros overwhelmed the market with sales. The BOE's reserves were finite, making the defense untenable. And there was one, Bessent mentioned this, I think it was in his interview with Tucker Carlson. He said, when they were deep in the thick of it, he was talking to George Soros, and he said, "How confident are you in this? How much of the fund should we put toward it? How confident are you?" And he says, "I'm really confident. I think we should put 100% of the fund toward it." And Soros said, "Well, if you're that confident, why not 300%?" Which is a very Trumpian response. So are there signs that Bessent is running a short on China? Has he already established a controlling position in the dynamic? If so, how did that happen? Let's explore. Let's start at the beginning. The keys to any effective leverage trade are research, stealth, and timing. We'll start with the timing. November 5th, Trump elected. November 11th, China announces their market holidays for 2025. November 22, Trump announces the Bessent nomination. These events are more significant than they seem. Trump and Bessent were strategizing a pressure campaign on the Chinese yuan from the start. Trump knew Bessent's history and intended to use his expertise. This goal made the Chinese holiday schedule important. By setting his announcement to April 2, Trump ensured U.S. traders would have 2 full days of trading before the Chinese could fully respond. The Chinese market traded in the aftermath of Trump's tariff announcement, closing at 3 a.m. Eastern Thursday, and wouldn't open until Monday. What do we mean by stealth? Much like the bomber, you don't want the enemy to know they're being attacked until it's too late. Trump said he'd be announcing finely tuned reciprocal rates. Instead, on 4/2, he dropped a nuke, rates over 30% based on made-up formulas. The news media screamed that this wasn't what they were told. The markets immediately and unexpectedly crashed. A random X account solved the mystery of how Trump arrived at the announced rates. Some said this was a total screw-up and blamed Lutnick. Confusion reigned. The goal was accomplished. China was unexpectedly facing a massive sell-off, and every country in the world was now targeted with severe tariffs rivaling their own. Was Trump serious? Would he back off? No one knew. Meanwhile, U.S. investors had a 2-day head start to delever. As Treasury Secretary, Bessent has access to the best data in U.S. intelligence. He knows the intricate details of what is happening inside China. Their economy is weak, their real estate market is in shambles, and they're trying to support the yuan. Sound familiar? So now I hope you have a better understanding of the Bessent short, and you can see that many of the things that people were calling a mistake were actually just part of the design. If you enjoyed this thread, please consider following and subscribing to his account, Seth J. Levy on Twitter. So let me see what this other thing is that he and Derek are talking about. Come on. Okay, so there's a clip here of Trump at the NRCC dinner tonight talking about this bill, this Republican bill. And it's funny, I was just listening to Bessent. He was on CNBC this morning, and I can't remember the question that Joe asked him at the end, but it was he hit him with the question a couple of times, and Bessent just straight up dodged it, and just talked about how they really need to get this bill passed, and he's heartened and kind of shocked at how great the Republicans are cooperating across the Senate and the House to get this bill through.
It's so important that we pass the big, beautiful bill, because that's going to be, and I really think we're helped a lot by the tariff situation that's going on, which is a good situation, not a bad. It's great. It's going to be legendary. You watch, legendary in a positive way, I have to say. It's going to be legendary, but I really think it actually puts pressure on those few Republicans that just can't get there. You know what the alternative is? A Democrat bill or a chapter for the country. You know, we have the debt continuation, and they have to do this. They have to get there, and I think we are there. We had a great meeting today. I think we are there. But just in case there are a couple of Republicans out there, you just got to get there. Close your eyes and get there. It's a phenomenal bill. Stop grandstanding. Just stop grandstanding. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I love how we have a tariff tracking countdown here. 104% tariffs on China take effect in, 4 hours, 19 minutes, and 43 seconds. Phil Gibson says, maybe the bad Chinese trade policy against America wasn't actually done by the Chinese. HSBC was set up by the Crown, by the way. It's a British entity. Yet you are onto something here, Mr. Gibson. And I haven't had time to really sit down and dig into this, but I said a couple episodes ago that I don't really think that China and America are actually engaged in hostilities with one another. I don't think that Trump and Xi are. I think that Trump and Xi have a similar relationship to Trump and Putin. I think there's mutual respect. Trump has said multiple times that they talk very often. He and Xi do. And so I've been trying to figure out the mechanics of all of this, but I think that this is a coordinated effort to by people within China's leadership and people within the American administration to lever the British out of this. I think it's kind of an intuition. I don't have the exact mechanics of it broken down for myself just yet, but I think there's something there. In the same way that the global American empire is just American in branding, I think the China that is set up as this like geopolitical foe is actually like China in branding, but it's not actually the Chinese people or the Chinese people's interests. The U.S. and China have been kind of forced into this really awkward relationship that's not good for either one of them. And there's a lot of reasons to believe that that Trump and Bessent and Lutnick are angling toward they're trying to close the American capital account the same way that China's capital account is closed, and to have the dual currency system, onshore dollar and offshore dollar, kind of like the onshore yuan and the offshore yuan. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I haven't completely figured it out yet, but you're onto something, I think.
Their policy, the Democrats, is horrible. It's horrible. Think of it, open borders, just all of the horrible, stupid things they have. You don't have energy, you don't have anything. They've lost their confidence. Everything is bad. But the one thing, they always vote in unison. You don't see somebody that's holding up. I'm going to hold up. And the alternative is hell. The alternative is hell. So the Republicans, just that one little thing the Republican Party has to do is get together and damn vote. If you're a single guy or a second guy, and you fight like hell for what you get, and then in the end you have to vote because the policy is phenomenal. They don't get every little ounce. It doesn't work that way. And this bill that we're working on now is the best I think we've ever passed. Mike, wherever you may be, it's the best. I think it's the best thing we'll get it passed, but I think it's going to be the most important thing we've ever passed. It's the best thing we've ever passed. It's so.
Trump is telling them, listen to me. I will tell you how to win. You don't get brownie points for grandstanding against the rest of your party. Look at the way the Democrats constantly kick your ass. They kick your ass because they do everyone says their thing or whatever. When it comes time to vote, they all get in line and they vote as one single block. Very rarely do you have Democrats that depart. And when they do, it's rarely ever influential. This is how you maintain power. This is how you wield power in this sort of congressional system that we have. You have to vote as a party. Stop trying to vote your conscience or be all principled and all that. Save that for your diary. You have to cooperate as a party or you will no longer have a party. So Derek says at Suitable Politic, he says, I really think, quoting Trump, I really think we're helped a lot by the tariff situation that's going on, which is a good situation, not a bad situation. End quote. He's using the idea of an economy with tariffs but no growth policies to scare Republicans into acting on the full MAGA agenda. He's leveraging the GOP. This is exactly it. This is anybody who's saying that this administration, first of all, that they're not transparent, and then second of all, that they have no plan, they don't know what they're doing, they're incompetent. This is cope. This is cope of the highest order. They know exactly what they're doing. They're doing this stuff in the order that they're doing it for a reason. You establish the tariff regime, and then you get Congress to pass the bill that you need to actually get the sustainable cuts to spending and government personnel. And I'm sure opening up energy infrastructure, investing, knocking down regulation, all these sorts of things. You get that because you have them by the balls. We just put up this tariff regime. If we don't get this bill passed and unlock our ability to grow sustainably and to get rid of all of this bad spending, we are going to be fucked. We did our part. Now you do your part. This is exceptional politicking. And Seth Levy says Trump is writing checks with his mouth right now. That rarely backfires on him. All right, and then I got one last just quick clip here. And I got to get out of here. Kind of weird doing such a short show, and here I've been going for over an hour. Just another Bessent one here. The China-U.S. thing. So Senator Wyden, this guy is one of the most disturbing human beings that I've ever seen. This lispy little, I think he's from Oregon. He is the, if he's not from Oregon, he's the most Oregon person I've ever seen. He's this like, just, he looks phlegmy. He kind of got a lisp and he's just, he's disgusting. No sound, huh? Well, that's very odd. No reason for that. Let's share the screen again.
Now there is a big effort in the Trump administration to reverse it. I think that's going to be bad for the economy, but it is going to be damn good for China because we are in an arms race on clean energy with them. Are you going to be on the side of people who want to unravel this?
Senator Wyden, just so we can frame this for everyone in the room, China will build 100 new coal plants this year. There is not a clean energy race. There is an energy race. China will build 10 nuclear plants this year. That is not solar. I am in favor of more nuclear plants. And I would note that the IRA, as scored by the CBO, is wildly out of control in terms of spending on the upside.
That is a, there is not a clean energy race. There is an energy race. That needed one of those Thug Life edits. Just have the sunglasses come down right then. Fenris says this guy belongs in a locker. Yeah, right. Speaking of the HSBC, let's see here. Phil says, yeah, this is MI6 Tactics 101. What? The UK and China? No. It was Kissinger who went to China, remember? He says, Chinese real estate was bought up by Soros and other British entities. It was the Crown's soft power control over China's economy until the Chinese did controlled demo on Evergrande. This is, so like, Stormy has said this explicitly. This is the phrase he repeats all the time, that China did not raise however many billions of people up out of poverty over the last 30 years or whatever. America did that. And how did America do that? America did that by allowing these offshore banks to print infinity dollars and use them to leverage these up. So the euro dollar mechanism, which has been owned and operated out of the city of London was the thing that was used to leverage China up out of poverty. So all of the shadow empire accoutrements are embedded all over the place within Chinese society, and this is not a Chinese thing any more than it is an American thing. So Russia, China, and America have a very, very strong incentive, strong mutual incentive to overthrow the existing empire that has been operated out of Europe. It's the lingering husk of the British Empire. They have a very strong incentive to establish a true multipolar world with one another. And recall when Trump started doing 51st state stuff with Canada and talking and started applying the tariffs on Canada, China applied a bunch of tariffs on Canada as well. So they are also I can't remember the exact details of it, but I think it was Christine Lagarde was howling about Chinese tariffs recently as well on the EU. So I think that there's a lot of kayfabe happening. This isn't a U.S. versus China thing. It's playing out as U.S. versus China, but both parties actually want something like this as a way to let them port into a new system that's more mutually beneficial. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Appreciate you showing up, even for a short lab. Do me a favor and hit the like button on the way out. Thank you for all the super chats. You guys are incredibly generous. I love you all. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Go follow me on Twitter @RealKingPilled. Go subscribe to the King Pilled Substack, where this episode will get posted with all the links that I went through today. And if you want to support the show above and beyond the super chats, then you can be a paid subscriber to the Substack. You can hit the Buy Me a Coffee or Cash App links in the description. There is a Bitcoin donation link on my my Twitter profile. If you go there, you hit the little link. There's I think Cash App and Venmo are there as well. And then the best way you could support the show, beyond liking, interacting with it, sharing it, is joining the King Pill Discord, kingpill.com. That is the place to go. I will see you guys there, and I will be back tomorrow with another episode of the Astrolabe. And for now, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough, and I said,